top UFO investigator released a thing. He said aliens have an agenda, and it's not a peaceful one. What the fuck is a top UFO investigator? Like the #1 karma farmer on Reddit for the subreddit? Like, what is that? How can I find that? Leading UFO expert has investigated dozens of sightings over an impressive 45-year career and says aliens don't come in peace and have an agenda. I wonder what the agenda is. They come down here just to read our dank memes, post on Twitter. The UFO enigma is real, very real. It's been with us throughout time. We see this in Renaissance paintings and old cave paintings. These strange shapes and entities. I wouldn't say they're peaceful due to the thousands of UFO abductions worldwide. I woke up and my ass is sore. Damn you, aliens! Not again! They did get a photo from someone outside of the school. What, giving a thumbs up with one of the gray aliens? Straight out of XCOM? Here, why don't I look this up? So why is this being taken as like legitimate evidence as opposed to just someone giving the class a creative prompt of draw aliens, draw a UFO, watch a video on it?
One of the most common reasons that alleged encounters with unidentified flying objects are often dismissed is that they usually involve only 1 or 2 witnesses. But how has society
not even the main reason is because the idea of it is just so incomprehensible. Not only would the beings have to have somehow discovered faster than light travel to make it here, it would have somehow had to elude everyone else's gaze and have only a couple people, in this case 62 school children, see them. Like the amount of crazy coincidence that must all occur for only a small group to see that is very unlikely.
When such occurrences have taken place involving larger groups of onlookers. This week, we examine one such incident. Join us as we delve into the mysteries of the aerial school encounter.
I'm ready to... There is nobody on the planet that wants alien encounters to be real more than me. If this has compelling evidence, I would be elated. I would love that. I want to believe. But it is so unbelievably unlikely, and all of the evidence is so shit, that it's impossible, in good conscience, to believe that there are aliens that visit us periodically. The circumstances for such a thing to be true are very, 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 very low possibility.
It was predictably hot outside on the playground, as Colin Mackey sat waiting in a stuffy office for the rest of his teaching staff to join the meeting.
Oh, it's going to be like a full story.
Currently, they were preparing their young charges to go out and play in the sun, but they would join him shortly. Pouring himself another cup of coffee, he glanced down at the newspaper on his desk and then smiled to himself. For the last 2 days, the headlines had been saturated by reports of UFOs hovering in the skies above Zimbabwe.
I immediately just don't believe this. So for multiple days, there have been headlines of UFOs hovering over the skies of Zimbabwe. And the only evidence we have is some children's drawings. Surely that would be major fucking news. And also, why would the aliens just be hovering over Zimbabwe? What are they doing there? They're just hovering there, doing nothing. Standing there menacingly like the hash-slinging slasher. What would be the purpose? Why would they have come there?
Each emerging description of these alleged sightings seemed to be more colourful and fantastic than the preceding ones. But despite the media clamour surrounding the reports, there was suspiciously little in the way of hard evidence to support them. He looked up as the first couple of teachers finally began to filter into the staff room. He listened with interest to the snippets of conversation that were taking place as they entered, trying to catch the surnames of any of the children that were being discussed. When the last participant finally arrived, he commenced the meeting as planned. As the head teacher of the aerial school, Mr. Mackey was ultimately responsible for the delivery of the national syllabus and the health and safety of his pupils. Daily responsibilities of a more menial nature were naturally delegated out to his staff, and so once a week, he liked to be able to gain an overall picture of what was going on within the school community.
And then he found out the aliens were overhead.
This meeting started out like any other,
transmitting 5G
with the usual
waves.
Concerns and complaints being raised. Blocked toilets, damage caused to the facility's perimeter fencing, and a lack of variety in the school dinner options were merely a few of the ongoing issues that needed to be tackled. But a short time into the discussion, Mackie became aware of a perceptible increase in volume coming from the children playing outside. As the disturbance had increased, he began to hear screaming and wailing, and it quickly became clear that something was quite amiss.
Oh, the aliens stole their
The
kickball.
room immediately emptied, with every teacher running for the exits to find out what had upset the children. When they finally made it outside, the scene that awaited them was akin to something out of a science fiction movie. Roughly half of the pupils had strayed beyond the boundaries of the playground and were gathered around the border of a patch of nearby scrubland. All were clearly emotional, some having collapsed to the ground, whilst others stood crying. Several of the youngsters claimed they had encountered a Takolshi, an evil spirit from local folklore, but the older children told quite a different story, one of a little man from another world, who had visited them in order to warn humanity about the future.
Let's go down this for a minute. So the aliens came here to warn us about the future. And the optimal way of warning us was to go to a small school in Zimbabwe and tell a group of children. That was the best way of delivering this warning of the future. They were talking about COVID. Imagine this is all very true. The aliens actually did just fucking boot, scoot, and boogie all the way down to Earth just to land here and be like, hey, there's this little thing called COVID. I'm letting you know it's right around the corner. No good. No good. All right. Good luck with that. We're out. We've done our job. Message delivered.
When Mackie asked one of the youths where this visitor had gone, the child pointed upwards and told the adult that the man in question had flown away again off up into the heavens. The headmaster stood scanning the skies above the school, but could see no trace of what the youngsters were describing. As he watched his staff move amongst the crying children, trying to comfort them, he realized that despite his skepticism, it was clear that something had taken place. Collecting several of the older pupils, he headed back to the school, explaining that he wanted them to draw
Here comes the drawings
what they had witnessed. The town of Rua lies approximately 22 miles southeast of the Zimbabwean capital, Harare.
Is it prime coded?
It is home to roughly 20,000 inhabitants and sits on one of the country's main road and rail routes. Beyond these mundane statistics, there is little to distinguish this featureless settlement from many others within the country's borders. That is, save for an event which is believed to have taken place there one morning in September of 1994. In the 2 days prior to this alleged incident, the Zimbabwean media had been reporting a series of nocturnal UFO sightings above Harare. The majority of witnesses had described seeing glowing fireballs traversing the night skies. These lights had moved around at breakneck speeds, making impossible twists and turns, before shooting off again and out of sight. The Aerial School is a private elementary school, which is located on the outskirts of Rua.
Thanks, Risa Brasco, the Prime
At the
Alex.
time of the 1994 UFO flap, the facility taught approximately 90 pupils, varying in age from between 5 and 12 years old. On the morning of Friday the 16th of September, all the teaching staff were taking part in a meeting inside the main school building and had left the 62 children who had attended that day to play unsupervised outside. As the youngsters had run and chased one another beneath the burning sunshine, they had suddenly become aware of 3 silver balls hovering in the sky above the schoolyard. Before long, the majority of the children had stopped to watch these objects, which would suddenly disappear in a flash of red light before reappearing again several meters away. With each successive disappearance and reappearance, the objects were slowly descending closer and closer to the ground, making some of the younger children feel anxious.
And how long did this go on for? And they didn't say like, hey, principal, there's some flying balls up in the sky here. Hey, we're getting a little scared here. There's some fucking aerial phenomenon right in front of us. Like, kids are tattletales. If anything's even somewhat out of order, they're going right to, like, a teacher or something. Like, this isn't something they're just gonna, like, not say anything on. To be fair, I would just watch. I mean, maybe as an adult I'd just watch too, but as a kid, like, at the first sign of anything, kids immediately just start, like, making noise. This is Groupthink Manifest. Well, I can tell you one thing. I don't think they were visited by aliens warning us about the future. Let's play with that for just a moment. Going back to that. Not only were they intergalactic travelers, they're fucking time travelers, warning us about our future. That's another crazy technological leap. And if they're that smart, that advanced, why would they tell a group of children at a small school? And also, why would they ever even make direct contact with people? They could just transmit the message. Because you won't believe. The reason they only told a group of children is because everyone believes children. Now I see. Of course.